I don't know how to talk to men anymore. I've spent all my 20s with this person.
I knew that if I stayed,
However long you've been with the person, it takes you half of that time to get over them.
nothing good would come out of it. I wouldn't have the life I want. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the 4th episode of Wine Hour. Cheers.
Cheers.
If you guys only knew what it took for us to start this episode.
Yeah.
We started with coffee. It was going to be a coffee type of episode.
Yeah. But honestly, it's like what, 4 o'clock now?
4 o'clock, right. So
and we were going to start at 3.
We moved on, so it's white wine today.
Yeah.
Happy Monday. Today's Monday.
Oh my God. Why do I feel like it's like a Wednesday?
I know. I feel like my days are like so off, but here we are. And we're just making the best of today because we were very, very close to like not filming today's episode because of mic malfunction.
Yeah.
Along with like a couple other things, like just
life.
Yeah, it's freaking hard to figure out what works with like the mic situation.
I mean, we had a great setup for last episode.
Yeah.
Something happened to our mics.
Yeah, the mics are just like, it's like it was making a weird sound, so we just gave up on that.
Yeah.
So here we are. We had backups, thankfully. I did her nails yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember in our last, not the last episode, the episode before, we talked about a Russian manicure, and I'm finally like back to doing nails, so I did her nails.
I love them. I mean, I will say I should have done a different base with this color.
Yeah.
But it's
still
I love
cute.
It. And like they're so like strong.
They feel strong.
They feel really strong. So
yeah, I'm proud of myself.
And
it came
Russian
out good.
manicures are the best.
Again,
so.
second episode, go.
Yeah.
We've said it 100 times. If you haven't already, you need to go. It's life-changing. But on today's episode, we wanted to touch on something we're both experts on. No, I'm just kidding. Far from. So, breakups.
Oh, yeah.
Relationship breakups with your man, woman, friendship breakups. It's hard. It's part of life. And little miss over here you can tell them your story.
So I just recently not recently, it's been like 2 years.
Since what?
Since I went through a breakup. It's
it
been 2
has?
years. Because I think, 2023. So it's about to be 2 years in April of 2025.
Since you broke up.
Or May. April or May, whatever. So it's been like a year and a half. I was in a long distance relationship.
You were together for how long?
Almost 7 years. Mm-hmm. But we were long distance for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. Different countries.
Yeah.
Not just like...
So not just like different
US.
states.
Yeah.
Just a whole different country, which was insane. And I honestly used to be the person who would be like, oh my God, why are people in long distance? Or like, why would you do that to yourself? And then there I was finding myself in a long distance relationship.
But you weren't like long distance for the entire 7 years.
No. So 3 years was together in the same state/country. Mm-hmm. And then the last 3 years of the relationship were long distance. Basically, relationship ended because of long distance. And I do see a lot of people on TikTok, which is insane, being in long distance relationship and then it end up working out and then moving to the same state or country and then getting married.
It does happen. If it's your person, if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen. It's not to say just because like, your relationship didn't work, like long distance like sucks.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I mean, it's hard. It's definitely really hard. And like both people need to want it and want to try at the same time.
Yes.
Because if there's one person who's trying more than the other, it becomes hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what was happening in my relationship. So here I am, single, and I'm turning 30 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Definitely not where I thought I would be at this age. I definitely thought I would be at least engaged by now. So
So if you guys are going through a similar thing, like you're not alone, it's normal. And I think the older you get, or in general, when you're faced with like difficult things in life, or like you said, that's not where you thought you'd be, like you kind of learn to trust the process and just kind of understand that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the only like thing that helps maybe to get through.
Yeah. And just, I'm actually just trying to enjoy life and enjoy where I'm at right now. So I'm not gonna lie, it was hard and I was not in a good place for about a year.
It didn't seem like you were.
I know. I'm really good at hiding it. But I was in a really bad spot for about a year, and I'm a lot better now. A year and a half later, and I'm not gonna say that I don't think about the person, but because it's hard when you've been with a person for so
For so
long
many years,
to just
yeah.
forget about them.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I went through a similar thing, and I'm literally the perfect example of it gets so much better.
Yeah.
It gets so much better. You just need to like trust the process, trust life, and like understand that literally everything happens for a reason. And I'm a strong believer in this, and it kind of helps me with life in general. Like, you're going through what you're going through for a reason. You met that person for a reason. You learned things because of him. You met people because of him.
Yeah.
You've experienced things because of him. So, and that goes with anything. I was in a long distance relationship too for a little bit, actually. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No.
Yeah. Because he was in the military.
Oh.
So in the beginning, yeah. It was like maybe
I feel like maybe that's even more harder because you're not able to even communicate. Were you able to?
Yeah, you can communicate.
Oh, you can.
Not as like often if they get
yeah,
like deployed or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, anyway, so whatever, that ended, and now I'm literally in a spot where I like didn't think was like possible because
Yeah.
it seems so hard in the moment.
Yeah. I will say though, when you're younger and going through a breakup, it seems less hard because you're so young still. I'm not saying that I'm old. I don't think 30 is old, but
yeah, but it's an age where people expect you to be
yes,
somewhere.
but also right now at this day and age, it's so hard to date, I feel like, and I'm
Yeah.
not the only one who says it because
Yeah.
okay, I could argue like, oh, you barely go out, because I don't go out that much.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to date, I feel like, these days, and everyone's like, even people who go out way more than I do have a hard time
Yeah.
meeting people. So, and I don't regret anything,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but I hate that I spent all of my 20s with a person to just not end up with them.
I know, but again, it's like for a reason. Like, you
Yeah.
better that it ended then than you keep on going with that relationship, and like you're
Yeah.
much more deeper in with like more issues and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my client the other day, and she said that her friend went speed dating in Boston.
That freaks me out.
Would you ever do that?
I don't know. Probably not.
She said, yeah, she said her coworker went speed dating, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, because how do you meet people? I was like, how old is she?
That's true.
And she was like, oh, she's 30. And yeah, and she said that it was like fun, but she didn't like meet anybody. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of weird.
It is weird.
I don't know if I would be able to do that.
Me either. I would be awkward. Because
Yeah.
I'm already an awkward person. So
Yeah, it's like,
imagine
okay, next.
me on a speed date. Hi. And like every 10 minutes you have to introduce yourself to. I would get tired of talking about myself.
God, I know. Or you would like spot someone and be like, oh my God, get to me already.
Yeah, seriously.
Could go one or two ways, but it's like so funny how like that's a thing now.
Yeah, I don't know.
People
It's
are
just,
like trying.
so I'm like curious how other people, like when you went through a breakup, I mean, I know you were younger when you went through a breakup than I am right now, but what are things that you feel like helped you to get through a breakup?
I think remembering your why and why your breakup is happening, whether you initiated it or the other person, or you mutually decided to break up, like you need to remember and literally remind yourself why.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did, and I reminded myself like why it was happening and why it had to happen. And it helped me because I knew that if I stayed, then nothing good would come out of it. I wouldn't have the life I want.
Yeah.
So whether the person is toxic or you just don't have the same goals in mind, that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And if you can't agree on something that early on, like imagine what would happen later on.
Yeah.
So I think that's something you need to like tell yourself, to kind of help you kind of get over the relationship and get over the person, is just to remind yourself why the breakup is happening in the first place.
Yeah. And I just, what I find is really hard for me is the person I made up of this person to be, like I made him up as a certain way in my head, and that's not the reality of who that person is, and that's what is really messing with me.
It's actually
so hard.
Insane that you say that, because I did the exact same thing.
When you are with someone for so long, you imagine being with them forever. So
Yeah.
I think your brain
You try to do everything to make it like work.
And your brain kind of tricks you into thinking the things that you want this person to be is what they are, but they're actually not.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what happened to me and what I did, because, you know, I wanted someone who doesn't smoke, who doesn't drink, and he was in the military on top of everything. So I was like, oh my God, he's definitely doesn't smoke or drink or do any drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like, he's like probably hardworking, and like that's all I wanted, is someone who's like hardworking, like that's not a smoker, not a drinker. I just hung on to that for so long.
Yeah.
And it's literally, he was like the opposite of those things. And then I'm like, no, like, but he's gonna change, but it's gonna get better. And you just keep telling yourself these things and thinking that that person is going to change, and it's just sadly sometimes not the case. But again, it's for the best that, you know, we're both lucky that we didn't have children with that person, we didn't marry that person, to make it 100 times harder to like move on and move forward.
Because would you want that for the rest of your life?
Exactly. You just like the biggest thing for me is just like reminding yourself like over and over again. That's literally the only way I was able to get out of that relationship. Yeah. Is just to remind myself like why this is happening. Like my family doesn't accept him. Like I knew I didn't want children with him. Like, you know, and you just have to.
And what I had a really hard time also understanding what I needed to do when it comes to social media and this person. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, do I block them from everywhere, or do I keep them and let them see everything, and also I see their things? Yeah. Like, I had a really hard time.
What do you do?
Knowing what to do with that.
I think you need to do what feels right.
Yeah, but there was a point where when we first broke up, I had unfollowed and blocked from everywhere just because the communication was still there. Yeah. So I was like, how else am I supposed to get over this person? But that didn't work. Like, I had just cold turkey blocked from everywhere.
I think that's best.
Yeah, and then I unblocked like an idiot. And whatever, ended up still meeting up with them and whatever. And then now I'm at a place where they're blocked from everything, but I don't know, there was a point where I just couldn't, and it was making me, I was looking at all the things he was posting and it was making me depressed.
Yeah. That's normal. I think that's part of going through the breakup and going through.
And sometimes I find myself still thinking like, oh my God, like, do I unblock him and like go and look? But it's just like,
I think it's like human nature. Yeah. Like, I think no matter what, like, you're always going to be like curious. I personally made the decision to block him everywhere, and it's been however many years, like, he's been blocked, and I just don't even like think twice.
Well, now you're in a new relationship, a new
but
place.
It doesn't matter, you know, it's still like curiosity is human nature, but like, you just kind of forget, and then you just kind of don't care. Yeah. Like, so.
Well, I'm still waiting to get to that place.
Yeah, and you will.
I mean, they do say however long you've been with the person, it takes you half of that time to get over them, to fully get over them.
I've never heard of that, really.
Yeah, when we first broke up, I was seeing it. Like, my TikTok was full of breakup shit and how to get over breakups. I saw that many places, so I'm like, all right, I'm still, you know.
I still have time.
Yeah, so.
What do you think helped you get over him?
I don't think I'm completely 100% over him.
Really? I thought you were.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say I've never said that out loud. It's kind of just in my head. So I'm over him, but I don't think it's 100%. Like, there's no way you can't, being with someone for 7 years, there's no way you can get over them 100% after just a year.
Just a year?
Unless I was with somebody else. If I was with somebody else, I feel like I would have been further along in the getting over him process, because I'm not with anybody else, and I'm kind of just focusing on myself and trying to just like do things for me. Actually, because like I said, I was in a relationship for all of my 20s basically. I think I met him when I was 21 and we broke up when I was 28. So that's all my 20s. I spent all my 20s with this person. So it's kind of like I forget what it's like to be single, to date, to flirt. Like I don't know how to do any of those things. Yeah. So
sometimes I forget that. And now when we go out, I'm like, why don't you like make eye contact with someone? Like they're staring at you.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? That a year before we broke up, I always thought, I'm like, what if me and him break up? It was like at the top of my, what if me and him break up? I don't know how to talk to men anymore. I was always at the top of my head, and then the breakup happened, and now I'm like, oh my God. Because honestly, when I go out, I am kind of in my own world. Like I think I give off energy as if I'm in like a relationship.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why men just don't
You totally do.
Yeah.
Because you're just in your own bubble and you're not looking around at anybody. You're not making eye contact with anybody. And and I'm a strong believer in like the universe and like what you put out in the universe and how you, or like manifesting, for example, like it's the way you carry yourself, like when you're out is like most likely those things are gonna like happen to you. So
and I also hate the pressure of like anytime I go out, everyone's like, oh, you're gonna meet someone today. Like that makes me feel so much pressure because it's like if I don't meet someone, it's like, oh, there's something wrong with you. Like nobody talked to you. Nobody.
It's not even that. There's no one out there.
I know, but it just feels like it's pressure. It's a lot of pressure to feel as if anytime you go out, you need to meet somebody.
Yeah, it's not.
So
yeah, but you should. I told you earlier, like you should literally make it an experiment and just try to change your energy when you do go out.
No, that I definitely need to do. I don't think it's about meeting people, but I think it's just coming off more confident in myself. It's for me. It's forget about meeting a man, but it's more just like
being yourself.
Yeah, and being
and
not being not seeming as if I like hate or insecure. I mean, okay, I am insecure, but like you know, we don't have to show that to the whole world. So.
Exactly.
So I think that confidence and just faking it till you make it is literally the best thing that anyone could do, because I think a lot of women, like I think there's no woman that is not insecure about something. I think everyone is insecure about something. So
I agree.
It's not easy, and it's really hard to be single in your 30s, and also the pressure of everyone being like, when are you gonna get married, and when are you gonna have kids, and oh my god, anyone that has a kid, like, oh my god, you're next, like, oh, am I? Please tell me.
My dog.
So it's just, those are things that
I think it's becoming like more normal though, like, you know, like
more women are single now than like
single, and you're
married.
not, yes, you're pressured still in your 30s, but I think it's like a foreign thing also. Like I
my
think,
family.
Like I think like the American, like in the US, like you're not pressured like that. Like 30 is like, oh, you're still young. Like in Russia, for example, like 30 is like, oh my god, you should have had all your kids by now.
My mom got married at like 20 and had me at 23.
Yeah.
And when I turned 23, I remember my mom being like, I had you at this age. I'm like, I feel like a child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I had my daughter I got pregnant at 27. I had her at 28. And my aunt in Russia was like, you guys waited so long. She's like, yeah, like you need to like get working on the next one. Like, she's like, yeah, you waited so long. She's like, why? I'm like, that's not long. I think that's normal and a good age. So it just depends on like who you're surrounded with, like your culture, where you live. Yeah. But I think it is more accepted nowadays to be like 30 and not have a family, or, you know. Yeah. So
no, it definitely is. And I think I'm seeing more. I think the other day I saw this girl, and I'm not saying that I want other people to be single too, but I saw this girl on TikTok, and she was also saying how she's 30 and single and just trying to navigate that. Yeah. And it made me feel really good, because sometimes you feel very alone. Yeah. Because all my friends around me are married or have kids or are pregnant and having kids, and it just feels as if it's never going to happen for me. Although I laugh sometimes, because there are other things in life where I'm like, this is never going to happen for me. And then when it does happen for me, I laugh. And I'm like, oh my God, look it, like it did happen for me when I think that it's not going to. So yeah,
it's like a goal that you like think is like so far away, but it's like possible. It's like booking a vacation and then thinking about that vacation, and then like thinking,
and then it finally comes and you're like, oh wow,
like, it's here now, but before then you're like, oh, is it ever gonna come? Like, am I ever like gonna go?
Now I'm hearing a lot about manifesting your dream man. I'm hearing that everywhere, and I feel like you're probably the first person who ever said it to me. Really? And then now I see it everywhere on TikTok, but I've never done it, but I just feel I need to do that. I need to pray and manifest for like, and not even like, oh, how he looks. I mean, that would just be the cherry on top, but more just like, I want to be treated like a princess. Yeah. I don't need somebody to pay for me for everything. I just need someone to take care of me, like emotionally. Good, yeah, and like care about me. Just care about me.
Have you ever watched The Secret?
No.
It's like a documentary. Well, it's a book, first of all, but it's like a documentary on Netflix, and I think I told you to watch it. And
on Netflix?
Yeah, and I don't think you ever did. It's kind of old. It's a very old documentary, but you need to kind of like focus and just like watch it. Honestly, it was so inspiring. I think I watched it when I was like 21, I want to say. I've heard of the book, and then I watched The Secret on Netflix, and I've heard of manifestation before and all of that, but then I watched The Secret, and it was like so inspiring, and I was like, okay, damn, like this must like work, and I truly believed it with my whole heart. And then I made like a dream board, and on my dream board I put like a Louis Vuitton bag that I really wanted. It was like a random one. I put like Kylie Jenner's body, and then I put photos of Greece, and then I think I put like a car and like money. I don't even remember at this point. But yeah, and I just like put it. So people say like for the dream board, you need to like have it out so you look at it like every single day, or like you make like post-it notes, or like a check like that you want to receive, or a certain amount of money you want to see in your bank account. Like literally print that and like Photoshop it and put it like on your mirror in the bathroom. And like look at it every single day and remind yourself and see that and speak in present terms. Like don't say, oh, I will have the job I want. Just say I have the job I want, you know, like, so that's what it kind of taught me to say. So I had all of that on my dream board. Then I took out my notebook and I wrote down everything I wanted for my future, everything from like a job that I wanted to have, like working for myself and all of that. And then I wrote out my dream man, who I would want to meet. I wrote everything from looks to the way like he would treat me, and to like us getting married, like everything. Like I just wanted to have a family. I wanted to settle down. And then I wrote it down, and I actually folded away my dream board and I put it in my closet. Never looked at it again. And I put away my notebook and I also forgot about it. And I went on about my life with manifestation in mind. And long story short, I met my husband, who a couple years later, I opened my notebook and I read what I wrote, and then I connected the dots.
You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Not when I met him, I was like, oh my God, I wrote about him. Like, no, I connected the dots like 2 years after. And then on my dream board, I had Greece, and he's Greek. And we went to Greece and I saw the places that I had on my dream board.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. Like, I didn't even like care that much to go to Greece, to be honest with you. I just wanted to go because it seemed like a destination so far away that I'll never get to.
Yeah.
Because
so you're like, let me just put it on there. Yeah,
exactly. I was like, I don't know
and
what to wish
manifest this for myself.
Yeah. So it was just a location that you see on the internet all the time, that people always want to go to Greece, to Santorini, to see the sunset. So I was like, okay, let me put it on my dream board. Put it on my dream board. 2 years later, I meet a Greek man and get married. And then we go to Greece, and then I see the places that were on my dream board in real life, and it's just mind-blowing when you realize that.
So let me just say that this is crazy, because the company that I work at, the CEO, she at the beginning of each year makes us write a letter to ourselves. And I dread doing it, because I'm like, this is homework. I don't want to write a paper again. I don't want to do this. Basically, what she makes us do is manifest, and she makes us write it as if the things that we're writing about already happened. So we want things that she wants us to write about, things that we want for the year, but we have to write about them as if they already happened to us. So, I want to make this amount. I made this amount of money in 2025.
Okay, made.
Yeah,
okay.
I made like it already happened to you. So it's kind of like you're doing a reflection of the year, but at the beginning of the year. And I will say, the first year that I ever did it, I wrote about having my first apartment on my own. And that year I moved out and got my first apartment on my own. And and then I had a meeting with the CEO, and I told her about it, and she was like, that is insane. She's like, do you see that it works? Like, she really believes in manifesting. So it does work. But the last couple of years that I wrote it, I BS'd it because I didn't want to write it. And I think none of the things that I wrote about happened.
You need to like believe it.
Yeah, you need to believe it, and you need to just want, like, you can manifest things, but you also have to do the work to get to the place, at least a little bit. If you write about a man, he's not, actually, I'm not going to say this to you because you wrote about your dream man and he just kind of found you. Like, the way that your husband reached out to you, though, men don't do that anymore. You know, like, reach out to you on Instagram, or people don't, like, men don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't know what it's like.
Yeah, like, men don't do that. And I know, because before I got with my ex, men used to message me all the time on Instagram, but men don't do that anymore. Times have changed. So it's like, they don't come up.
Crazy.
Yeah, they don't come up to you. They barely message you. So it's kind of, you really have to have a strong connection with somebody in order to, like, them to want to be in like a man to want to be in a relationship with you. And I think it goes for the same as women, because we kind of know more what we want now, and we won't tolerate as much as maybe we did in the past. I think manifestation works, but you just really do have to believe it.
You do have to believe it.
And do at least a little bit of the work. Like, you can't say I want to make an X amount of money and sit on your ass at home and do nothing.
Yeah.
You have to try.
So when I listened to The Secret, they said you don't need to know how you're going to make that money. You don't need to know how it's going to happen to you. They said to just trust the process.
Okay, but let's say I want to make an X amount of money, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just sitting at home doing nothing. Well, how am I going to make that money?
Well, listen, so very easy. So you need to watch The Secret. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can't sit at home and like just not think about it. Like, you need to like think about it and like believe it. You need to think about it. You need to remind yourself all the time, like what you want. You need to picture it, imagine it, feel it, think about what you're going to do with that money. You need to literally be like so obsessed with it. And you may get a check in the mail because you overpaid the IRS. Like, it could be like it could be like random things, like where money is just coming in to your life from that you just like didn't expect. It could be a gift. It could be like, you just don't know. Like, I think our mind, we limit ourselves so much. You're like, oh my God, but if I don't work, like, I'm not gonna get that paycheck. Like, money doesn't have to come from a paycheck.
Yeah.
And like, already you're doing that. You're limiting yourself right away. That's your first instinct.
By thinking that you have to
like go and like do something and like how am I gonna do this, or how am I gonna make it, or how am I gonna meet someone? Like, you're limiting yourself like so much. You know, you just need to like just trust the universe, because energy is really, really powerful. And I think the energy that you put out, it's like, it's living around you. Like, this sounds kind of crazy, but that's truly what I believe. It's, you know how someone, like, they say like, oh, like, she walks in the room and she's like, has like such a good like energy, and like people are like, for example, so happy to be around her, or like, she's so fun, like whatever the case is, you feel that. And what do you feel? You literally feel energy. A person can walk in, they don't have to speak, but you feel their energy by the way they're looking, the way they're acting, the way they're carrying themselves, and they literally don't have to say a word. So it's the same thing when you're putting out the energy into the world, that's going to come right back to you. So today you said you were having a bad day, right? Yeah. So that
honestly, you're right, because when I broke a plate today by accident, I kind of like knocked one over into the sink, and it fell on top of another one. But I was like, okay, today's going to be a bad day. And because I put that out into the universe, this day actually has been pretty shitty.
Yes. You went to get the cake. I didn't see your text. You didn't have the picture. Our mics weren't working.
And now I'm falling asleep.
Like, it's just, you put it out into the universe, and like so many things to like line up to make sure that happens for you.
No, you're right. I totally agree. And I thought about it to myself too when I said, oh, today's going to be such a bad day. I already see it. I'm like, okay, just because I said that, it's going to be a bad day. Because I'm putting that out into the universe.
But you can literally turn it around so fast.
Like by going home and taking a nap.
No, by having positive thoughts. And just like thinking like, oh, like I broke a plate, like it's okay, it happens, like moving on, you know?
Yeah, but on top of breaking a plate, I also was dropping everything when I was doing the dishes. Like I was doing the dishes and everything was falling out of my hands. I was concerned because it was like everything had oil on it. It was so weird.
This is why I don't do dishes and gloves, honestly.
Yeah, it's just,
So try that. You should watch. I'm
going to watch it, and then I do want to, because I told you, when I wrote the paper for my job the first year I worked there, and at least one of the things on my manifestation paper worked, I really did believe that it works, because, okay, that's something stupid, but it was crazy to me, because I never, before that, it wasn't really at the top of my head being like, oh, I want to live by myself, like whatever. But then I wrote it down, and then I don't know, it just like happened. It just happened for me. Like, I don't know, I applied out of nowhere to an apartment, and then I got it. It was insane.
So I think that we should come back to this episode a year from now.
We should. That's a good idea. And see what has changed.
And we should write down.
Hopefully I'm in a relationship.
I know, you're gonna.
I'm gonna be married with a kid.
If she has a man, we're gonna bring him on this episode.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do like a double date episode.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But I think that we should write down our goals for the year, which I actually do all the time. I think this year is the only time I didn't because I had a baby and my world was just like flipped upside down. The last thing I was thinking about is my goals. But I think we should do that towards the end of the year.
And the new year is coming, so I feel like that's the best time to manifest literally anything.
Yeah. We should make a little list and, you know, put out into the universe that our podcast gets a lot of views and stuff. And whatever and stuff and and then we're gonna check in a year from now and like see where we're at, and it's gonna be very interesting to compare. We'll put the videos side by side. I think it'll be really fun to see. Yeah,
me too. Also, I just want to know, the single people out there, are you guys using dating apps? Please, I want to know, because I'm like done. I'm so done with dating apps. And
where do you meet people if it's not a dating app?
But I also listened to the Skinny Confidential when she had the two sisters on there, and they were saying how when you go on a dating app and you put in the preferences that you want, like I want a man that's 6 foot and I want a man that has blue eyes, or I don't even know if these are options that you can put, but whatever, you know, you put all these characteristics that you want.
Yeah.
And you filter it out. And imagine there's a man who's 5'11".
Yeah.
Okay. And he's the perfect man. But because you're putting 6 foot as your like non-negotiable, you're missing out on that man.
Yeah.
So I deleted my dating apps, and we're just...
You did?
We're like raw dogging life now. Here we are, like we're gonna meet someone in the wild. Yeah, I deleted my dating apps. I stopped going on Raya, whatever.
Yeah, Raya, the dating app.
Yeah.
It's like for, I don't know, like famous people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I stopped going on there, I think like months ago, because I was like, I'm not gonna pay for something that I just like, I'm not into dating apps. I just think I get weirded out. So I've only been on a date with one guy from a dating app.
Wow,
and
he's special.
Yeah, and he should feel special, because after that I've never went on another date. He kind of ruined it for me, but
if you're listening.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just he was older than me, and he was talking about his exes. And I just think that's a red flag when you're on a second date and they're shitting on their exes and saying that their exes are obsessed with them, and like he knows that they're stalking him. I'm like,
that's an absolute red flag.
I'm like, first of all, you sound like a child who is concerned about who's looking at your like Instagram story.
Yeah.
I couldn't. So after that everything went downhill, and I just could not do dating apps anymore.
It's funny you mentioned Instagram, because I used to say like, oh, like find a man who doesn't care about social media, who doesn't like Instagram. It's a red flag if your man doesn't have an Instagram and
did somebody say that to us?
We said this because of our friend and her relationship. Her man didn't have Instagram, didn't have any social media, didn't use social media, and then did the most incredible cheating thing on her.
Right. Yeah.
And
okay, I was trying to figure out who you're talking about.
Yeah, and then met someone else and they broke up and whatnot. But that person was very much off social media, yet still found a way to somehow...
Because when they're not on social media, you almost feel... This is my train of thought. You almost feel as if you don't have anything to worry about. Okay, so you're not that I'm sitting here checking anyone's phones. But I'm just saying that I feel like when they're not on social media, it's easier for them to hide something, because it's almost like you're not expecting anything, because they're not.
Oh, they don't have Instagram. They don't have Snapchat.
They don't see all these girls that post on Instagram, or they don't see TikTok or whatever, and then you almost don't expect it. So it's kind of easier for them to cheat when they don't have social media.
Yeah. And I used to be like, oh, I don't want like a man who
me
like
too.
has like social media.
Yeah,
like,
I hate men who are on social media. Like that's so cringe. But no, now that I think about it, at least
need to have an
some
Instagram,
type of like presence on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you just have no social media, you're either a serial killer or you're a serial cheater.
Fact.
Like
so true.
Yeah, I think it's a big red flag not to have social media.
That's something that I've changed my mind on over the years, because before I used to think differently, and now I'm like, no,
definitely me too.
You need to have social media. So that's, I guess, you live and you learn.
Yeah. Well,
here's to manifesting your dream man, you guys.
And all the other things. Cheers.
But yeah, so I hope this episode was in some way helpful for any of you. And if you guys have any stories or anything at all to share with us, please let us know, because we'd love to share it and include it in our next podcast.
And we can make it anonymous.
Yes,
if anybody
definitely.
doesn't want.
You can send us an email.
Or any tips on dating. If you're also in like your 30s and trying to navigate that, just anything, super helpful.
Yeah, we'll also include that in, you know, whatever episodes we do. And we'll have the email in the description box. So let us know. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in our next episode. Bye, guys. Cheers.